Okay. So almost a month ago, we were covering Book of Job, and we left off at chapter 8, and we're gonna just continue to read from chapter 9, and we'll discuss as we go along. Let's read. Then Job answered and said, "Truly I know that it is so, but how can a man be in the right before God? If one wished to contend with him, one could not answer him once in 1,000 times. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who has hardened himself against him and succeeded? He who removes mountains, and they know it not. When he overturns them in his anger, he shakes the earth out of his place, and its pillars tremble. Who commands the sun, and it does not rise? Who seals up the stars? Who alone stretch out the heavens, and tremble and waves of the seas? Who made the bear and Orion, and Pleiades and chamber of the south? Who does great things beyond searching out, and marvelous things beyond number? Behold, he passes by me, and I see him not. He moves on, but I do not perceive him. Behold, he snatches away, who can turn him back? Who will say to him, what are you doing? God will not turn back his anger. Beneath him bowed the helper of Rahab. How then can I answer him, choosing my words with him? Though I am in the right, I cannot answer him. I must appeal for mercy to my accuser. If I summoned him, he answered me. I would not believe that he was listening to my voice. For he crushes me with tempest, and multiplies my wounds without cause. He will not let me get my breath, but fills me with bitterness. If it is the contest of a strength, behold, he is mighty. If it is the matter of justice, who can summon him? Though I am in the right, my own mouth would condemn me. Though I am blameless, he would prove me perverse. I am blameless, I regard not myself, I loathe my life. It is all one, therefore I say, he destroyed both the blameless and the wicked. Then disaster brings sudden death, he mocks at the calamity of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, he covers the face of its judge. If it is not he, who then is it? My days are swifter than a runner, they flee away, they see no good. They go by like a skift of reed, like an eagle swooping on the prey. If I say I will forget my complaint, I will put off my sad face and be of good cheer. I become afraid of all my sufferings, for I know you will not hold me innocent. I shall be condemned. Why then do I labor in vain? If I wish, if I wash myself with snow and cleanse my hands with lye, yet you will plunge me into a pit, and my own clothes will abhor me. For he is not a man as I am, that I might answer him, that he should come to trial together. There is no arbiter between us who might lay his hand on us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not dread of him terrify me. Then I would speak without fear of him, for I am not so in myself. When you actually read this, as I actually read this chapter 9, what do you think of the Job's plea? What do you get from what he's saying?
I mean, of course, he's in despair, but he is describing God and his sovereignty. Like, how could I go before, like, the Lord of Lords? I'm just a man.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at the chapter 9, there's two parts. The first part of a plea is literally You are mighty God. You're so powerful. I mean, you're so wise. You created everything. I mean, you are God. Who can even dare to really speak to you? So he's actually speaking up who he is. You are God, right? Who dare to even, speak to you? That's the first part. He described who God is, which means he understands, he knows who God is. But at the same time, when you listen very carefully what he's saying this up front for a reason. To really say what really he wants to say at the latter part of the chapter 9. What he is really saying is, when you look at this, starting from verse 14. Actually, let's just start from 12. Behold, he snatches away, who can turn him back? Who will say to him, what are you doing? When you actually look at this particular verse, what he wants to say is, you are mighty God. You're doing all this to me. Who can actually dare to really just, saying, what are you doing? I cannot say it, right? And what he's saying is, in verse 15, it says, though I am in the right. What he's saying is, I have not done anything wrong. Because you are powerful, you are a mighty God, you're doing what you're doing. I'm a mere man. I can't do anything about it. I can't really speak to you about it. So I'm just here, then, you're beating me up and I'm just being hit. I didn't do anything wrong, but you're doing this. I have nothing wrong with me. I have done wrong. I have not done anything wrong. And you are just doing this, unfairly. But I understand. Because you're God, I can't do anything. But I tell you, I'm right. I'm righteous. You're just doing it because you're God. I will suffer it, but what can I say? Is literally what he's saying. So when you actually listen to what he's saying very carefully, even though he's describing, oh, you're God, you're mighty, you're great, you're wise, you did this and you did that. But at the end, what he really wants to say is, I didn't do anything wrong. You're just doing it because you're God, you're powerful, I'm powerless. So, well, what can I say? So, when you listen, he's really not lifting up God's names or his sovereignty. He's literally complaining. He's complaining, but he's complaining it very diplomatically. What he wanted to say is, I am right. So you will hear verse 16, it said, if I summon him, and he will answer me, I would not believe that he was listening to my voice. Even though I'm claiming that I'm right and righteous, even though I'm saying all this to you, I know you're not listening. So when you just listen to what he's saying, he's just literally complaining to God. So our impressions or the things, the way we have learned about Job is actually, even though he was suffered, he didn't really complain, but he was just, kept his faith. And that's how we've been learning. But when you look at it very carefully, that's not true. He does complain. He's actually, when you listen to his plea, is not just the complaining, but he's literally saying things, he just wanted to fume it out. Let's continue to see what he's saying. For he crushes me with the tempest and multiplies my wounds without cause. What are you saying? You're just literally just beating me up without a cause. I'm righteous. I didn't do anything wrong, but you're just keep beating me up. And okay, all right, I get it. But you're doing this without a cause. It is not like I did anything wrong that you're punishing me. You have no, I can say back to you to say, nothing wrong with me. So he's advocating his righteousness. He just keeps saying to God, I have not done anything wrong. You're doing this without a cause. It is not fair to me. But I get it. You're God. You're mighty God. He will not let me get my breath, but fills me with bitterness. You're doing this. If it is the contest of strength, behold, he is mighty. If it is a matter of justice, who can summon him? Who can say back to him? Though I am in the right, once again, he just keeps saying, I am right. My own mouth would condemn me, though I am blameless. So, what he's just keep advocating is, I am right, and I'm blameless. I have not done anything wrong. In verse 21, it says, I am blameless. I regard not myself. I loathe my life. It is all one. Therefore I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. So I get it. Because you're a powerful God, I understand that you can destroy blameless as well as wicked. I am on which side? I'm on the blameless side. But you're crushing me. Not because I have done wrong, because you're God and you're doing what you're doing. Who can say, like, what are you doing? So he literally complaining. This is different than how we actually saw at the very beginning. What did he say? At the very beginning of Job, his confession was a slightly different, right? When you look at chapter 1, verse 21 and 22 says, and he said, Job is saying, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. But now has changed, because the length of his suffering has been long enough. It is not just a week. It is not just a month, but years had passed by, and he got to the point, it is like he doesn't understand. Why are you keep doing this to me? So now he started complaining, God. So he's now saying, you're wrong, without even saying wrong. What he's saying is, I'm blameless, I'm right, but you're just keep hitting me. Now, for us, we as a third party, it's very easy to say this, but I want you to put yourself in Job's shoes. If we suffer the way that Job has suffered, I don't think any of us would be different than Job. We would be in the same situations, or even worse, we would not even, rely on God at all. Right? We may actually curse God, which many people do. What is actually telling us is this. Many of us, whether we acknowledge or not, when things are well, we can say, we love you, Lord, and we thank the Lord, right? But when things are not in good shape for very long, the length of time, this is how we change our heart. Remember from the time when God actually pulled the Israelites out of Egypt, they praised the Lord because They're now getting out of Egypt. They're getting out of a slavery. So they praised the Lord at the very beginning. But soon after they actually came out of Egypt and put it in the wilderness, what do? They start to complain. They complained to Moses, why did you bring us out of here to die? And is it once? No. They've been complaining almost 40 years of their journey in the wilderness. Because it was a very long time. Imagine, we live in a wilderness for 40 years. How about Moses? Moses was living as a prince in Egypt for 40 years. And then after he killed Egyptians, and he fled to Midian, and he was living as a shepherd, changing his status from the prince to shepherd, 40 years in Egypt and 40 years as a shepherd. That's a dramatic change. Long time. It is not 40 days. That's a 40 years. For most of the people, if you suffer for 40 years, that's unbearable. So we may say, well, why did Job did this? But when you think about it, we will not be any different. Most likely we're even worse than Job. Right? Continue on here. Verse 30 and on. If I wash myself with snow and cleanse my hands with lyre, yet you will plunge me into a pit, and my own clothes will abhor me. So, he keeps saying, my hands are clean, like snow. For he is not a man as I am, that I might answer him, that we should come to trial together. Well, let's go into the trial. Let's see who's right. He's literally saying, I'm right. If we actually stand before the judge will say, I'm right. There is no arbiter between us who might lay his hands on us both. Because there's no arbiters, well, obviously, judge is going to raise your hand, not mine, even though I'm right. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not dread of him terrify me. Then I will speak without fear of him, for I am not so in myself. So what he's saying is, if you take away all this calamity away from me, I don't have to fear you, then I will speak to you. But because you're not taking this away from me, I cannot really say the way I really want to say, even though he's saying what he wants to say. Chapter 10, I loathe my life. I will give free utterance to my complaint. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Let me know why you contend against me. So, what is he saying? Tell me, why are you doing this to me? So he's just saying what really wanted to say, but not directly, but indirectly. He's been complaining. Does it seem good to you to oppress, to despise the work of your hands? Are you happy now? You're actually just you're pressing me. You created me and you're pressing me. Are you happy? And favor and designs of the wicked? Have you eyes of flesh? Do you see as a man sees? Are your days as the days of man, or your years as a man's years, that you seek out my iniquity and search for my sins, although you know that I am not guilty? He's strongly advocating how righteous he is. And he was, because he was blameless, right? He would just keep saying, I'm righteous. What did I do wrong? I cannot find any fault in me. But you're opening your eyes and searching for every corners and every area where I have a sin. I might not even not know what that sin is, but you're searching for every, you're literally just, looking for my flaw and my fault. If you're doing it, who is blameless? Anyone can be just, faulted. Anyone could be wicked. And you are doing this to me. So he just keep emphasizing that he is blameless, he is righteous, and God is the one who's just doing it without a cause. I'm not guilty. So he's just to keep advocating himself like it's not fair to me. Although you know that I am not guilty, you know, and there is none to deliver out of your hands. Your hands have fashioned and made me, and now you have destroyed me altogether. Remember that you have made me like a clay, and you will return me to the dust? Listen very carefully what he's saying. He's literally provoking the Lord. He's provoking God. He's doing it very diplomatic way. But when you actually peel off the onions of what he's really saying, he's literally complaining to God. I thought you're better. How could you do this? Literally, even though he said, who can say, what are you doing? But literally he's saying, what are you doing? So he knows God is the one he's the potter. We're the clay. He knows it. Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? You clothed me with skin and flesh, and knit me together with bones and sinews. You have granted me life and steadfast love, and your care has preserved my spirit. Yet these things you hid in your heart. I know that this way was your purpose. If I sin, you watched me, and do not acquit me of my iniquity. If I am guilty, woe to me. So he's saying, well, if I have done anything wrong, well, I should be blamed and I should be punished. But I'm not. If I am in the right, I cannot lift up my head, for I am filled with disgrace, and look on my affliction. And were my head lifted up, you would hurt me like a lion, and work wonders against me. You renew your witness against me, and increase your vexations towards me. You bring fresh troops against me. Why did you bring me out from the womb? Would that I had died before any eye had seen me, and were as though I had not been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days a few? Then cease, and leave me alone, that I may find a little cheer. So what he's saying is, why are you doing this to me? Leave me alone. Don't touch me. I'll be in peace. If you don't do anything, I'll probably in better shape. Leave me alone. Why are you doing this to me? So you can see he's filled with anger. And he's just complaining to God, I understand you're God and you're doing this to me. I'm just suffering it, but stop doing this. Don't do this to me. Leave me alone. You don't need to discipline me. Just leave me alone. Before I go, and I shall not return to the land of darkness and deep shadow, the land of gloom like thick darkness, like deep shadow without any orders, where light is at thick darkness. So as you can see here, he is literally just complaining to God. So at this point, you might see a little bit differently than how we have learned, or what we have learned about Job. What we learned about Job was Job continued to hold his faith, and he will not actually, he suffered without any complaint, but that's not true. He does complain a lot, very strongly. Because he is, from his point of view, he's clearly see righteous versus wicked. And I'm on the righteous side, not on the wicked side, but you're punishing both wicked and righteous. And I'm on the righteous side, but because you're just hitting on both of them, I'm suffering. But I will tell you, I don't deserve to be suffer like this. There are a few things we have to learn. There are different kinds of suffering. There are kinds of a suffering, like for example, wicked is a suffering because of their sins. Righteous people, they're suffering for different reasons. So when you look at the entire Bible, many of the righteous people, or even the believers, they suffered more than wicked people. All these prophets, they suffered. All their disciples suffered. All his apostles suffered. All his believers suffered. Does that actually make sense? Why would actually the wicked not suffer, but the righteous suffer? The righteous suffer more than wicked people. Let's just turn to 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4, we're going to read from verse 12 and on. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you, but rejoice insofar as you share Christ's suffering, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and God rest upon you. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or a thief, or evildoer, or as a meddler. Yet, if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in that name. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God, and if it begins with us, that will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God. And if the righteous is scarcely saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? Therefore, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their souls to a faithful Creator while doing good. This particular verse, or the passage, is clearly telling us two things. Number one, there are sufferings and punishments of their wrongdoing or the evildoers. And you could be persecuted. You could be punished for what you have done wrong. But there are people who suffer almost the same as the wicked people, but you are doing it in the name of a Christ. Be blessed and be rejoiced. Your suffering is different than the other wickeds are suffering. It is from our perspective, it looked the same. From our perspective, why should the followers, why should the faithful people be suffered while wicked people are not, or even they suffer for their own wrongdoing? God is separating two different kinds of a suffering. The suffering of the wicked people for their faultness and their sins versus faithful people who suffer for the name of a Christ. Now, the question is, when you're coming back to Job, does God really hate Job and actually punish him for his wrongdoing? No. He was not suffering because he has done wrong. But one thing he's going to learn at the end. Remember I mentioned about our righteousness? Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 45 for a second. Isaiah chapter 45. Verse 7 says, I formed light and create darkness. I make well-being and create calamity. I am the Lord who does all these things. I'm a creator. I can do anything. Right? And at the same time, we're going to take a look at let's turn to Isaiah chapter 64. Isaiah chapter 64. We're going to read from verse 6. We have all become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a polluted garment. We all fade like a leaf, and all iniquities like the wind take us away. There is no one who calls upon your name, who rose himself to take hold of you. For you have hidden your face from us, and have made us melt in the hand of our iniquities. But now, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay, and you are our potter. We are all the work of your hands. You are the potter. We are the clay. So you as a potter, you can literally do whatever you want with the clay. Whether you actually make a beautiful, the plates, or the plate without any decoration at all. You are the potter. You can do anything you want. And our righteous deeds are, he says, a polluted garment. Literally, we're garbage. Our righteousness before you is it's a garbage. So you may actually hear this quite often from people. We, either believer or non-believer, they say, if this person does not go to heaven, who else could go to heaven? Because when you look at his life, he actually just devoted his life for helping other people, doing good things, right? Because when you look outside a church, even though they're not a believer, There are people who give their life for others. They have done good things to other people. And we look at them and I said, if this person does not go to heaven, who else is going to go to heaven? So then, how do we measure that? How do we measure the righteousness? We measure based on our own judgment. We determine what's righteous and what is wicked. Remember from the very beginning, when the serpent came up to the woman, if you take this fruit, you will be like God, knowing what is good and what is evil. You will be like God. You will be able to judge what's good and what's evil. And soon after she took that and ate it and gave it to his husband Adam, they both became like God. They started to judge themselves. And we are the descendants of Adam. We're doing exactly the same thing. We judge what is right, what is wicked. We determine what is righteous and what is wicked. Job is doing the exactly same thing. I'm righteous. So based on whose rules and whose rule? Job is judging based on his own heart. His own righteousness is coming from his own. Not by the God's judgment, not by the God's rules, but by the Job's righteousness and wickedness. He's saying, I am righteous. So he's claiming and he's looking at things from his own perspective. But it's not just the Job's perspective. It is entire human generation's perspective. Because we see the same thing as the Job is seeing. We are righteous. This is why we judge people. You're right, you're wrong, we judge everybody. We even judge ourselves, right? Based on my judgment system, my law, my righteous system is really determining who's right, who's wrong. So this is why when we judge someone, we are already in the place of judge. I'm actually judging other people because I am not like you. I can judge you because you have done wrong. I'm not. I'm not like you. I'm different from you. That's why we judge other people. Because every day, when we talk, when we think, when we do anything, we do things based on our judgment system. Job is no different. We all do. But from God's perspective, He's teaching us through this book of Job. Even though you claim you're righteous, in my eyes, you're not. This is the confession of Paul. What did Paul say in book of Romans? There is no righteous man on earth. There's no one righteous. Even though we claim, I'm righteous, Job is claiming I'm righteous, but God is saying, no one is righteous. You claim you're righteous, but your righteousness falls short of God's righteousness. Nobody's righteous. But we claim you're wrong. Your judgment system is all wrong. When you actually take a look at, let's go to Habakkuk. Let's go to Habakkuk. We covered Habakkuk in the past, so let's review it together again. Habakkuk is the prophets from the Judah. And when Babylonians are coming and persecuting the people of Judah, he saw this is not right. We are the chosen people. Babylonians are not. They're wicked people. But Babylonian is the one who's actually keep invading to our land and killing our people. That doesn't seem right to us. How could this wicked people come to persecute the righteous people like us? We are the God's chosen people. So he's actually claiming, so listen carefully for what he's saying. Chapter 1, the oracle that Habakkuk the prophet saw. O Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not hear, or cry to you violence, and you will not save? Why do you make me see iniquity, and why do you idly look at wrong? Destructions and violence are before me. Strife and contention arise. So the law is paralyzed, and justice never goes forth. For the wicked are surrounded the righteous, so justice goes forth perverted. What is Habakkuk saying? It makes no sense. The wicked is surround all the righteous people, and I see all this violence. Where's the judgment? Where's the righteousness? And he's saying, now go to chapter 2. I will take my stand at my watchpost and station myself on the tower and look out to see what he will say to me and what I will answer concerning my complaints. Now what he's saying is, I'm going to stand at the tower. I'm going to just shout to you. Now I'm going to just, say all this what I want to say. Now I want to hear what you have to say. Now tell me, am I wrong? You tell me. You're God. You're righteous. So you tell me. What I'm seeing, is that right? He's literally saying the exactly same thing what Job is saying. Tell me, if you're righteous, God, you will know whether this is right or wrong. So Habakkuk is saying, you're wrong, God. You're doing something wrong. And tell me, what are you going to say? I will listen. And of course, God says a lot of stuff to Habakkuk. I'm not going to go over Habakkuk, but after God says everything what he has to say, let's go to Habakkuk chapter 3. Verse 16 and on. This is the key. I hear, and my body trembles. My lips quiver at the sound. Rottenness enters into my bones. My legs trembles beneath me. Yet I will quietly wait for the days of trouble to come upon people who invade us. Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fails, and the field yields no food, flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God the Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on my high places. So what Habakkuk is saying, after I have listened, now I hear you. I'm feared because the Babylonians are coming. But I understand. Even though there's no fruit, even though there's no animals, but now I know I will wait for you. Now he understood. Now positions where he was at the very beginning of Habakkuk has changed. Now I understand. Now I understand. He, after he made all this plea, after what he wanted to say to God, you're wrong, how could you do this? At the end, now he says, I hear you. Now I understood. You're God. You know everything. I don't. I thought I knew everything. I thought we were righteous, but I realize we are not. We're not near to be righteous. And I understand why you're doing what you're doing. So I fear. And we will bear this. That's the confession of Habakkuk. When you look at the book of Job, it goes a very similar pattern. He literally complains, and he just making all his plea and all his theory about righteousness. After he speaks all that, he claims, I was wrong. I didn't know anything better. You are God. You know everything. So, coming back to Job, chapter 11. Then Zophar, Naamathite, answered and said, should a multitude of words go unanswered, and a man full of talk be judged right? So what Zophar is saying is, you talk too much. You talk too much. Stop. Be silent. Should your babble silence men? And when you mock, shall no one shame you? For you say, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in God's eyes. But, oh, that God would speak and open his lips to you, and that he would tell you the secrets of wisdom, for he is manifold in understanding. Know then that God exacts of you less than you guilty deserve. So, we're going to continue to listen to what his friends there keep saying. You will find two things here. Number one, you will find Job is claiming that he's righteous, right? And as the friends of Job, listening to what Job is saying, the Job's friends are saying, you know what? You must be actually being punished by God because you have done something wrong. I don't know what that is, but you have done something wrong. So before the Lord, why don't you just confess? Don't claim that you're righteous because you are actually receiving this punishment because you have done wrong. God is punishing you. So therefore, you come before the Lord and confess your sins. That God will forgive you. Don't claim that you're righteous. So, as I mentioned in the book of 1 Peter, there are two different kinds of a suffering. The righteous suffering for the name of the Lord versus the people who the wicked are being punished for their sins. There are two different kinds of a suffering. So, Job is a suffering for the name of God, but what his friends are seeing is, you are being punished for what you have done wrong. I don't know what that is, but you know what you have done wrong, so just confess. So they're talking two different things. And Job's friends, seeing like anyone else, because of a suffering, you must have done wrong. And what he's saying is, no, then the God exacts of you less than your guilt deserve. So you know what? What you're suffering is less than what you deserve to receive. I want you to think of it as a person who's listening to this. Is that going to comfort you or it's going to get you mad? Literally, his friends is not helping Job at all. Right? Listen continually. Can you find out the deep things of God? Can you find out the limit of the Almighty? It is higher than heaven. What can you do? Deeper than Sheol. What can you know? Its measured is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. If he passed through in prisons, and summoned the cord, who can turn him back? For he knows worthless men. When he sees iniquity, will he not consider it? Be a stupid man will get understanding when a wild donkey colt is born a man. If you prepare your heart, you will stretch out your hands towards him. If iniquity is in your hand, put it far away, and let not injustice dwell in your tents. So literally, the Job's friends is judging Job. You must have done something wrong. So there are some iniquities and sins in your hands. If you do, just put it away from it. Because you have so much of a sins, we don't know what it is, but God knows you. So he's punishing you. So repent is literally what his friends are saying. Surely then you will lift up your face without blemish. You will be secure and will not fear. You will forget your misery. You will remember it as waters that have passed away. And your life will be brighter than the noonday. Its darkness will be like the morning. And you will feel secure because there is a hope. You will look around and take your rest in security. You will lie down and none will make you afraid. Many will court your favor, but the eyes of the wicked will fail. All way of escape will be lost to them, and their hope is to breathe their last. You will continue to see the conversations or dialogue between Job and his friends. Who's right? Is Job right or his friends right? Who's right? From your perspective, who's right? Huh? Who is right? Who is saying the right thing? Job is saying the right thing or his friends are saying the right thing? Who is saying the right thing?
Neither of them.
Exactly. Neither of them. So, we have to be very careful of this. And I say this very carefully. People reference certain verse from the Bible because anything is written in the Bible, it's all correct and right. Is it? No, it is not. It is not. There are people who are saying the wrong thing in the Bible. There are many things people are saying wrong things in the Bible. But because it is in the Bible, people take it as everything is right. It is not. There are a lot of stuff that is not even right. There are wicked people saying things. What they're saying is right? No, they're not. They have no idea what they're talking about. But it is in the Bible. But what if you just don't care what it says before or after, but you just take the one verse out of that book as if this is truth? Is that a right approach? You just extract the one verse out of the Bible without really knowing what the context of the conversations, what context of what they're saying. if you just extract that one particular verse out of it and then say as if this is the correct word, that's the wrong way to see the Bible. You have to look at what they said in the Bible. You have to understand before and after and the context of the whole conversation. Who said it? Is that the right thing or is it a wrong thing? And I will tell you, most of the stuff between Job and his friends, some are right, some are wrong. So you need to be able to distinguish what they're saying right versus what they're saying wrong. You need to be able to filter it out in knowing what they said was right and what they said was wrong. Many things, especially what his friend said, are wrong. How do you know they're saying what the Job's friends said are wrong? How do you know? How do you know what Job's friend said was wrong? Because I said?
Maybe because in the end of the story, God is saying like you are all wrong. No, maybe I'm just mistaken.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, right.
So, it is not what I said. So let's take a look at what God said. Let's go to Job chapter 42. Job 42. We're going to read from verse 7. After the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, "My anger burns against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has." What is God saying? I'm angry because what your friend says is all wrong. What they said was all not right about me. So God is the one who's claiming what they said is all wrong. It is not me saying it. God is saying it. So most of the not everything is wrong, of course. Some is right, some is wrong, but mostly what they said was wrong. So therefore, you should be very careful how to extract a certain verse out of the Bible. You need to understand the context of what it says in the Bible and determine whether this is truth or not truth. Don't take everything out of the Bible and say, oh, everything is truth because it's written in the Bible. No, there are a lot of things the wicked had said in the Bible as well. There are certain things that even evil said right. Evil said the wrong things in the Bible, and if you just extract what evil said, oh, this is truth. No, that's not truth. They're lying. There are lies in the Bible. There's wrong things in the Bible. So be careful what you're quoting from the Bible. All right, coming back to Job chapter 12. Then Job answered and said, "No doubt you are the people, and wisdom will die with you." What Job is saying is, oh my God, you guys are so wise. If you die, I guess that there's nobody in the world, nobody in the earth that will be wise, because you're the wisest man on earth. Everyone, if you die, there's no wise man on earth because you guys are so wise. So what is he saying? He's saying very sarcastically. But I have understanding as well as you. I'm not inferior to you. Job is so mad. I'm not inferior to you. I'm maybe superior to you. Who does not know such things as these? Everybody knows what you're saying. I know it. I'm a laughing stock to my friends. I, who called to God and he answered me, a just and blameless man, am a laughing stock. In the thought of one who is at the ease, there is contempt for misfortune. It is ready for those whose feet slip. The tents of robbers are at peace, and those who provoke God are secure. Who brings their God in their hands? So once again, he's keep complaining. The people who provoke God, they're secure. They're at peace. And they bring their own God in their hands. Well, they're at peace. They're better than me. So what's wrong with this picture? But ask the beast, and they will teach you, the birds of the heavens, and they will tell you, or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you, and the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hands of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every living things, and the breath of all mankind. Does not the ear test words as the palate taste food? Wisdom is with the aged, and understanding is length of days. With God are wisdom and might. He has counsel and understanding. If he tears down, none can rebuild. If he shuts a man in, none can open. If he withholds the water, they dry up. If he sends them out, they overwhelm the land. With him are strength and sound wisdom. The deceived and the deceivers are his. He leads counselor away stripped, and judge he makes fools. He loosed the bond of kings, and binds the waistcloth on their hips. He leads priests away stripped, and overthrow the mighty. He deprives of speech those who are trusted, and takes away the discernment of the elders. He pour contempt on princes, and loosen the belt of the strong. He uncovers the deeps out of darkness, and brings deep darkness to light. He makes nations great, and he destroys them. He enlarges nations and leads them away. He takes away understanding from the chief of the people of the earth, and makes them wander in the trackless waste. They grope in the dark without light, and he makes them stagger like drunken men. When you listen to what he's saying, it's literally continuation from the previous comments that he made. He's saying the same thing. You're God. You can literally lift up. You can just bring it down. You can destroy. You can just lift it up. You are the mighty God. Who can dare you to compete? Or who can dare to speak up? Because you're God. We're just a mere man. I'm actually being, I'm suffering because you just keep beating me up. I'm just powerless. Behold, my eyes has seen all this. My ears has heard and understood it. What are you saying? My eyes has seen all this. My ears has heard and understood it. I've seen it. I heard of it. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. He says, understand it. Did he understand? Did he really understand? He did not. He did not see, he did not heard, and he did not understand. Just like what I just mentioned about the Habakkuk. Habakkuk, he thought he knew, but he didn't. But he believed he thought he understood. Same thing. Job said, I have seen it all, I have heard it all, I understood it all. But he did not. How do we know that he did not see and he did not heard and he did not understand? Not because I said so. Let's take a look what he said. Job 42 again. Job 42. We're going to read from verse 1. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand. Things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you, and you make it known to me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ears, but now my eyes sees you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. What does he say? I did not know what I was talking about. I did not understand. I did not see. I did not hear. Now I see you. Now I understand you. How many of you actually have seen the Avatar?
I didn't see the new one.
No, you didn't see the new one? You should go and see.
Did you see it, Keith?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yes.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
Which one are you talking about? The first one or the second?
Either one.
The middle?
Either one. Either first or the second. Doesn't matter. Even though you might have not seen the second one, at least you have seen the first one, right? Most of you. If not all. In Avatar, you actually see they're saying, I see you. Right? You heard them saying, I see you. This is that. I see you. They did not see before, but now they see. The truth, they see. People, they say, that I hear you, but they don't hear. People say, I understand, but they don't understand. How many actually times, for those of you who have a child, when you actually speak to your child, they say, I understand. That you know they did not understand. But they say, I understand. I know, but they don't know. But you know they don't understand. But someday they will see. Someday they will understand. Someday they will know. The time will come to know. Job was exactly the same thing. He was claiming, I see, I hear, I understand. But he did not know what he was saying. He did not see, he did not hear, he did not understand, he did not know. But he just kept saying, as if he knew and understood. And he claims, I understand. But he did not. And how many times we, even though we don't say to God, I understand, but we don't. Is our understanding deeper than God? Is our knowledge even deeper than God? Not at all. We don't see, an inch away from our life. God knows. We don't. God sees everything while we don't. But even with our blindness, even though we have no understanding and no knowledge, we claim to God, I know, I understand, I see everything. We don't. This is why we have to rely on God, because He sees more than we see. His understanding, His knowledge is beyond man. I don't understand what is happening in our life. I don't understand a lot of things, what is happening in this world. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. But we try to squeeze God into our perspective. God has to think the way I think. It has to make sense to me. I need to understand. Really? No, not really. Don't try to put God into your box. I'm in the box. God is outside the box. God is the one who created a box for me. We live in the dimensional world. We're locked into time. We're locked into the dimensions because that's where we are. God is the one who created the dimension. God is the one who created the time. We are limited to what we could see, but God could see everything from the beginning and to the end. For us, we don't see that. God does. That's the difference between creation versus creator. We are different. We're not the same as God. We want to be like God. That's what the evil one was always wanted to do. He wanted to put his throne above God. That's why he was thrown out. Because the creations could never be like Creator. We're different kind. We're at a different level. We're not the same. But this is the part we don't understand. But as we read this type of things, we're learning that way. Coming back to Job again. Let's just, coming back to chapter 13 and we read one more time. Behold, my eyes has seen all this. My ears has heard and understood it. Obviously not. What you know, I also know. I am not inferior to you, but I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to argue my case with God. So he's very strong, right? But I'm not blaming Job at all. Because once again, if we are in Job's situations, we're worse than Job. And I tell you, I think I did mention, multiple times on this one, but have you ever suffered from, poison ivy? You have? If you have suffered from poison ivy, you know how painful that is. Right? If you ever suffered poison ivy, you understand how painful that is. With just a little bit on your skin, that's gonna bother you so much. But if that spreads out in your body, that's just really, really painful. It's just beyond your imagination. I have caught, poison ivy multiple times. Multiple times.
Try putting it on your face.
You have no idea how painful that is. It's
Yep.
really,
It's
really
really-
painful.
It is.
Yeah. And imagine, at the time of Job, I don't know exactly what this is, but it's similar to that kind of suffering. Back then, there's no antibiotic. There's nothing to there's nothing to rub it on. There's no cure for it. And I could understand why he was actually scratching his skins with the bricks. Because it is really painful. The more you actually scratch, the more you actually just scrub your skins, it's going to spread out all your body. It's not going away. You're just going to get worse and worse. When I was suffering from poison ivy, when it was spread out, many parts of my body, my mind was not in right state. I could not even think straight because it's so painful. I could not be, as logical as Job. I could not think like that. Job, I think, is in the better shape. And if you're suffering for that long, without any comfort, without anything, it'd be really difficult. All right. I desire to argue my case with God. As for you, you whitewash with lies, worthless of physicians are you all. Oh, that you would keep silence, and it would be your wisdom. He's so mad. He's so mad with his friends. Like, just quiet. If you're quiet, I think you'll be even wiser if you just to keep your mouth shut. Hear now my argument, and listen to the pleading of my lips. Will you speak falsely for God, and speak deceitfully for him? Will you show partially towards him? Will you plead the case for God? Will it be well with you when he searches you out? Or can you deceive him as one deceives a man? He will surely rebuke you. If in secret you show partially, will not his majesty terrify you, and the dread of him fall upon you? You maxims and proverbs of ashes, your defense are a defense of clay. Let me have a silence, and I will speak, and let come on me what may. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, I will hope in him, yet I will argue my ways to his face. You see how strong he's coming out, and how angry he is to really just to kind of defend him in his position. This will be my salvation, that the godless shall not come before him. Keep listening to my words, and let my declarations be in your ears. Listen carefully. Just hear my word. Behold, I have prepared my case. I know that I shall be in the right. So he's very strong, right? He's very strong how right he is. Who is there who will contend with me? For then I would be silenced and die. If I'm wrong, I will die. So I'm dead right. There's nothing wrong about my plea. I'll make my case very strong. Only grant me two things, then I will not hide myself from your face. Withdraw your hand far from me, and let not dread of you terrify me. Then call, and I will answer. Or let me speak, and you reply to me. How many are my iniquities and my sins? You see how strong he's coming out? Show me. Show me the list of my sins. I want to see why you're actually judging me and why you're punishing me. I want to see the reason. Show me the list. I want to see. Because I know you have nothing to show to me. He's strongly saying to God, he says, show me the list of my sins. I want to see. Because I know you won't be able to show it to me. Because I'm right. You're wrong. So he's literally saying, you're wrong, I'm right. How many are my iniquities and my sins? Make me know my transgressions and my sins. Why do you hide your face and count me as your enemy? Why are you hiding? Because you have nothing to show me. If you are actually right, show your face. Look at me. Look at my eyes. Right? Look at my eyes and talk to me. You see how strong the Job is actually complaining to God? Even though many people think, oh, Job has kept his faith and all this good stuff. When you look at it carefully, he's not. Will you frighten a driven leaf and pursue dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me and make me inherit the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks and watch all my paths. You set the limit for the soles of my feet. Man waste away like rotten things, like a garment that is moth eaten. Man who is born of a woman is a few of a days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flowers and withers. He flees like a shadow and continues not. And do you open your eyes on such a one and brings me into judgment with you? Who can bring a clean things out of an unclean? There is not one. Since his days are determined, and the number of his month is with you, and you have appointed his limits that he cannot pass. Look away from him and leave him alone, and he may enjoy like hired hand his days. For there is a hope for a tree. If it be cut down, there will be sprout again, and that its shoot will not cease, though its root grows old in the earth, and its stump die in the soils. Yet at the scent of water it will bud, and put out branches like a young plant, but a man dies and laid low. Man breathed his last, and where is he? And waters fail from a lake, and river wastes away and dries up. So a man lies down and rise not again. Till the heaven are no more, he will not awake, or be rose out of his sleep. Or that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath be past, that you would appoint me a set time, and remember me. If a man dies, or shall he live again? All the days of my service I would wait, till my renewal should come. You would call, and I would answer you. You would long for the work of your hands. For them you would number my steps. You would not keep watch over my sins. My transgression would be sealed up in a bag, and you would cover over my iniquities. But the mountain falls and crumbles away, and the rock is removed from its place. The waters wear away the stones. The torrent wash away and soil of the earth. So you destroy the hope of man. You prevail forever against him, and he passes. You change his countenance and send him away. His son comes to honor, and he does not know it. They are brought low, and he perceives it not. He feels only the pain of his own body, and he moans only for himself. So the way he actually approach is that he usually say, "Oh, you're God. You can do this and you can do that. You're in control of this, and you're the creator." Blah blah blah. But he's saying this up front to really just make strong case why he is being suffered. He just keeps saying, "I have not done anything wrong, because you are who you are. You are the creator. You are the Almighty God. You are just making me suffer without any cause," is literally what he's saying. Now, his friends, Eliphaz, is saying, "Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge? and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he argue in unprofitable talk, or in words that which he can do no good? But you are doing away with the fear of God and hindering meditations before God. For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Your own lips testify against you. So what he's saying is, what you're saying is all wrong. What he's saying is not all wrong, mostly wrong. So he's pointing out, you just keep saying you're righteous, but you're not. Are you the first man who was born? Or were you brought forth before the hills? Have you listened in the counsel of God? And do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is not clear to us? Both the gray-haired and aged are among us, older than your father. So, just by looking at this one, all his friends are not as his age. Some friends are older than his father. So not all his friends are at the same age. There are age difference. Are the comforts of God too small for you? Or the word that deals gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flesh? That you turn your spirit against God and bring such words out of your mouth. What is man that he can be pure? Or he who borns of a woman that he can be righteous? Which is right. This particular statement that he's making is correct. So, not everything is wrong. Not everything is right. Certain things he says right, certain things he says wrong. Mostly he's wrong. Both of them wrong. Behold, God puts no trust in his holy ones, and the heavens are not pure in his sight. How much less one who is abominable and corrupt, a man who drinks injustice like water. I will show you, hear me, and what I have seen I will declare. What wise men have told without hiding it from their father, to whom alone the land was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man writhed in pain all his days, through all the years that are laid up for the ruthless. Dreadful sounds are in his ears, and prosperity and destroyer will come upon him. He does not believe that he will return out of darkness, and he is marked for the sword. He wanders abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knows that a day of darkness is ready at his hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They prevail against him like a king ready for battle, because he has stretched out his hand against God and defies the Almighty, running stubbornly against him with the thickly bossed shield. Because he has covered his face with his fat and gathered fat upon his waist, and he's lived in desolate cities, in houses that none should inhabit, which were ready to become heaps of ruins. He will not be rich, and his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the earth. He will not depart from darkness. The flames will dry up his shoots, and by the breath of his mouth he will depart. Let him not trust in emptiness, deceiving himself, for emptiness will be in his payment. He will be paid in full before his time, and his branch will not be green. He will shake off his unripe grape like the vine, and cast off his blossom like the olive tree. For the company of the godless is barren, and the fire consumes the tent of bribery. They conceive the trouble and give birth to evil, and their wombs prepare deceit. When you listen to many of his friends, the explanation comes down to this. What comes around, what goes around. If you actually live the righteous life, God will bless you. But if you actually have done, some wicked things, God will punish you. Their logic is very simple. Live righteous life, God will bless you all the time. If you live wicked life, God will punish you. So what you did, God will actually do it based on what you did. Right? Let me ask you this. Are we saved because what we did right? Did you receive the gods of salvation because you're righteous? If this logic works, we should not be receiving salvation. Because when you actually go to work, you worked. For your hard work, you get paid. Is that a grace? When you work very hard for your money and you get paid, do you call it a grace? You get paid for what you work. Right? But when you did not work, but when you get money, you call it a grace. Because you did not deserve to get money, but you did get money. There's a difference. We did not receive the salvation because what we did right. We did not live righteous life to deserve to receive the salvation. We lived the opposite life. From God's eyes, not from our eyes, right? Because our righteousness system is not really accurate, mostly wrong, right? We measure our own righteousness. I'm righteous. I'm a good guy. I'm a good person. We judge ourselves based on our righteous system because I measured myself against my own righteousness system. Because based on my law, based on what I know, what's right and what's wicked, I put myself in the righteous place because I think I'm a good person. I've done a lot of good stuff to other people. I didn't do anything wrong. I did not harm anyone. So I should deserve. That's my logic. God's logic is very different. God's logic is none are righteous. None of you are righteous. Think about it. All this Pharisees, Sadducees, scribers, they claiming they're righteous because they kept the Moses law. So they claim, I'm righteous. I have not done anything wrong. Right? So the Pharisees drop the money into the box while the widow comes and they just put the little money. And they compare themselves. I thank God I'm not like them, the sinners. Right? They compared against them. I'm righteous, they're a sinner. I'm different. So therefore, they thought, the Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes, think that because of what they had done, they deserve to receive the salvation. But when Jesus came, he rebuked all these people who claimed themselves as righteous. You're like vipers. You're not righteous at all. And who they pointed as a sinner, God said, they're saved. What do you mean? It makes no sense. How could they be saved while we're not? We're righteous. We kept all the law. They did not. How could they be saved? Not us. We should be the first one to be saved, not them. That is the difference between our righteousness system versus God's righteousness system. They're very different, completely opposite. We see ourselves as righteous. In God's eyes, we're not. None of us received the salvation because of what we have done. In contrary, we are all sinners. We are to be punished and thrown into the lake of fire, but for whatever reason, I just believed in Jesus Christ. For that reason, I'm saved. I didn't do anything right. I didn't do anything deserve to receive the salvation, but I did just by believing in Jesus. That's all. That's all we did. We chose Jesus versus other people did not. Continue on, chapter 16. Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are you all. Well, obviously they're not a comforter, right? They're not comforting Job at all. Just, they're a miserable comforter are you all. Shall windy words have an end? Or what provokes you that you answer? I also could speak as you do. If you were in my place, I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the solace of my lips would assuage your pain. Well, with your lips, you can do anything, right? If I were in your shoes, I could do the same thing, right? If I speak, my pain is not assuaged, and if I forbear, how much of it leave me? Surely now God has worn me out. He has made desolate all my company, and he has shriveled me up, which is witness against me, and my leanness has risen up against me. It testifies to my face. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He has gnashed his teeth at me. My adversary sharpens his eye against me. So this literally shows how he sees things, how he thinks of God, right? He hates me. If he's not hates me, then why would he do this to me? So from our perspective, once again, we would not be any different than Job at all. If we suffered this long, how could we think that God loves us? How could we really believe that he's actually just being with us and then he's protecting us and he's actually guarding us? How can you say, God is my rock? God is my shield? Really? It's easy to say. But when you're in Job's shoes, I don't think people will believe that. You may say it, but you would not think of it. Because your suffering is greater than your fate. Your pain is greater than your fate. Men have gaped at me with their mouth, and they have struck me insolently on the cheeks. They mess themselves together against me. God gives me up to the ungodly and casts me into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, and he broke me apart, and he seized me by the neck and dashed me to pieces. He set me up as his target. So, he's literally saying, he set me up for no reason, without a cause. He's doing this. I have to suffer because he's doing this. I have no control over it because he's stronger than me. He's Almighty God. But I don't believe he's doing it right. He set me up. His archers surround me. He slashes open my kidneys and does not spare. He pours out my gall on the ground. He breaks me with breach upon breach. He runs upon me like a warrior. I have eschewed sackcloth upon my skins, and have laid my strength in the dust. My face is red with weeping, and on my eyelid is deep darkness. Although there is no violence in my hands, and my prayer is pure. Once again, he's making very bold statement, like this. Although there is no violence in my hands, and my prayer is pure. I'm pure. I'm righteous. I'm blameless. O earth, cover not my blood, and let my cry find no resting place. Even now, behold, my witness is in heaven. and he who testified for me is on high. So, my witness that I'm right is actually witnesses up in the heaven. You know it. My friends scorn me. My eyes pour out tears to God, and that would argue the seas of a man with God, as the Son of Man does with his neighbor. For when a few years have come, I shall go the way from which I shall not return. My spirit is broken, my days are extinct. The graveyard is ready for me. Surely there are mockers about me, and my eye dwells on their provocation. Lay down a pledge for me with you. Who is there who will put up security for me? Since you have closed your hearts to understanding, therefore you will not let them triumph. He will inform against his friends to get a share of their prosperity. The eyes of his children will fail. He has made me a byword of the peoples, and I am one before whom men spit. My eye has grown dim from vexations, and all my members are like a shadow. The uprights are appalled at his, and the innocent stirred himself up against the godless. Yet the righteous hold to his way, and he who has clean hands grow stronger and stronger. But you come on again, all of you, and I shall not find a wise man among you. So what he's saying, all you are, which Job's friends are not wise. You're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about, is what he's saying. My days are past. My plans are broken off. My desire of my heart. They make night into day. The light, they say, is near for the darkness. For if I hope for Sheol as my house, if I make my bed in darkness, if I say to the pit, you are my father's, and the worm, my mother or my sister, where then is my hope? Who will see my hope? Will it go down to the bars of Sheol? Shall we descend together into the dust? So, what he's saying, I have no hope. There's nothing that I can turn to. There's no hope for me. So, we can probably see some differences here. So Job is suffering for a very long time. So, he sees no hope. But let's think about it. For many of the people in the Bible, did they have hope? Did they have a hope? When Joseph was actually sold by his brothers as a slave, did he have a hope? When he was working and he was seduced by his master's wife, and then he was thrown into the prison, did he have a hope? Did God ever give him any promise that I will recover you? There was no promise. When Moses fled to Midian, did God promise anything to Moses? There was no promise. What hope did they have? When King David was chased by the Saul, did he have any hope? Did God actually ever promise to David that when I will restore you? Did he know when he will be restored? Whether he will survive? What hope did they have? Let's just take a look at one thing here. Let's turn to Psalm chapter 39. Psalm chapter 39. I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I will guard my mouth with a muzzle. So long as the wicked are in my presence, I was mute and silent. I held my peace to no avail, and my distress grew worse. My heart became hot within me. As I mused, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. O Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadth, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stand as a mere breath. Surely a man goes about as a shadow. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. Man heaps up wealth and does not know who will gather. And now, O Lord, for what do I wait? My hope is in you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I am mute. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. Remove your stroke from me. I am spent by the hostility of your hands. When you discipline a man with rebukes for sins, you consume like a moth what is dear to him. Surely all mankind is a mere breath. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ears to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tear. For I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers. Look away from me, that I may smile again before I depart and am no more. Where is he putting his hope? Was he in a good shape? No. He was not in a good shape. No promise was made. Nothing was promised. But where did he put his hope? I put my hopes in you, Lord. Even though I'm suffering, let my lips, my mouth, not sin. Let's take a look at Psalm chapter 130. Psalm 130. Out of the depth I cry to you, O Lord. O Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my pleas for mercy. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? But with you there is a forgiveness, that you may be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his words I hope. My soul waits for the Lord, more than watchmen for the morning. More than watchmen for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is a steadfast love, and with him is plentiful redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities. Where is King David put his hope? Hope in the Lord. And he's teaching his people, Israelites, put your hope in the Lord. Hope is the first things that we need to put in the Lord. So therefore, there are two different kinds of people. When they suffer, they put away their hope. They see no hope at all because there's no promise from the Lord. And other people like King David, he put his hope in the Lord, no matter what situation he's in, because he have a steady faith that God is good. But if you start to doubt that God is true God, you will lose your hope because you don't trust him. You don't see God as God. I hope all of us especially in year 2023. As I mentioned, many news are gloomy. There's no bright future for year 2023. Many news that we hear are scary, and many news that we hear is gloomy. But we as a believer, we put our hopes in the Lord because there is no other place where we can put our hopes to. I hope that all of us, no matter what situations you're in, put your hopes in the Lord. We'll cover up to this chapter 17, and it will continue on chapter 19 next week. Any question?